Hello, my fellow real estate investors. This is the Truth About Real Estate Investing show. My name is Rowan Cito, and I've been investing since 2005, including the most longer recession than the last one we had, the pandemic recession. I'm referring to the financial crisis, the credit crisis of 2007 and 2008. With the higher probability of a recession coming, I can't recommend enough that newer investors connect with veterans who have personal experience investing during a recession. The more real estate they had, the better. I personally had 5 properties with partners, and those were good times. At the time, yeah, it was scary. But with a healthy dose of ignorance, we did just fine. And I'll go more into detail at our real estate meetup in May. I wasn't that old, so yeah, I wasn't that smart either. Anyways, so with things the way they are, being back at the gym is great, in my opinion, especially not having to wear a mask to walk into the gym or walk out of the gym, or because I'm often running late, so rushing the kids out of the car, into the parking lot, out of the car, and into the gym. It's often very comedic and slapstick-like. I've got my phone in my hand. I'm pulling my gym bag out of my trunk. I'm probably trying to shove all the stuff in my pockets into my gym and trying to track down my shoes. And I'm holding my water bottle squeezed under an arm somewhere. And while at the same time encouraging the kids to move quickly, because they don't move very fast and they don't understand urgency that well. So they often require a lot of loud verbal encouragement. Sometimes their gym bag gets stuck in the footwell of the car and my hands are full, so I'm having to verbally coach them on how to unstick their gym bags. They have boxing gloves and stuff in their gym bag, so it's a bit bulky. And then so on top of that, if we had to deal with masks too, well, I'm just glad we have one less thing to worry about. At our last class, Maz, his full name is Muzzle Mall, but he goes by Maz, the gym owner and lead instructor of our kickboxing gym that we belong to. He welcomed me when I walked in to the gym and asked if I had a minute to chat. He knows I'm late for class, so I do class too. So my kids are on time-ish, but he stops me. So I'm wondering, am I in trouble? Did I pay my gym dues? Because the last thing I want to do is owe money to someone who's won over 30 professional fights and has a dozen championship belts on display throughout the gym. So Coach Maz tells me my daughter Robin is doing great in class and is ready to test for her bronze gloves. So she'll be graduating from the belt system into what is a 2-hour exit test to exit the beginner's program. So this is, again, it's a 2-hour test. So my daughter's never done probably an hour test. So this is a 2-hour test. It'll be by far the most comprehensive test of my daughter's career. And I'm like, great. So what's to talk about? That couldn't wait until after class. So because I'm late. Maz goes on to inform me that Bruce, my son, who's 18 months younger, he's not ready to test, and asked how I'd like to proceed. So first I asked him if my kids would be in separate classes, which I don't want because that means twice the commuting. I don't know how you parents do this shuttling around of kids when they're in different programs. Because, my time investment, or at least our Cherry and I's time investment would have to be double, which is a no-go for us. We'll have to do it Wednesday eventually, but try to hold off as long as we can. Matt says no. The answer is no. They stay in the same class. It's just that they spend 50 minutes of class doing the more advanced stuffs. I also share with him that I teach my kids that one gets what they earn. And this is actually a great life lesson opportunity for me to tell my son he's not good enough to grade, which is honest. The heads up is appreciated, but I actually wonder what other parents would do to deal with the situation. For myself, I couldn't personally imagine arguing with the head instructor, again, who has 30 plus professional wins, to arguing with him that my son deserves to test for his bronze gloves when I can totally see he's not ready for it. My daughter is very good at her class. She's likely the best in her class, and that's just not just my opinion. She's been asked to participate as the demonstration student for the recordings of her classes. I think they're making an online course or something. But anyways, they're asking. She's been their actor. I don't know, their demonstration student, whatever you want to call it. But we all know that her technique is absolutely fantastic. Warning to all those who are bullies or raise bullies. My daughter will be well prepared. On the car ride home, it's just Bruce and I in the car as Robin had to stay home that day. She had a fever, non-COVID related. I did the rapid test myself. I told Bruce how Robin will be testing for her bronze gloves, which my son understands. As coach says that she's ready, but he's not. I asked Bruce if he's fine with that. Bruce asked if he can attend the test with me to support Robin. That's the response I was looking for. Apologies for the proud parent moment. Enough for me, on to this week's show. We have a pretty amazing story from Alfredo Hermano, who grew up in affordable housing, and now he's building and developing a ton of affordable housing. He's got 3 buildings on the go right now for a total of 400 rental apartments with rents well below market. I believe he said 20% below market value for rents. And he's got plans to grow that number to 10 buildings with well over 1,000 units in the short-term future. These are investments, and part of those investments were crowdfunded via Addie. We've had Stephen from Addie on the show before, in case you're not familiar, on one of the more popular crowdfunding options in Canada. And I think it's super cool that these options are available to those who have smaller bankrolls and that they be able to participate in the real estate investing market. On today's show, Alfredo shares how his company, 3H Properties Group, is able to work with the government who provides subsidies, and he's able to provide to his investors a return. Pretty cool. As usual, none of this that's shared today is an endorsement of anything. Please do your own research and due diligence. Past results do not predict the future. Please seek professional investing advice. Everything shared today is for educational and infotainment purposes, and I wish you all success in your investment returns. Please enjoy the show. Alfredo, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem.
What's keeping you busy these days?
Well, my businesses, my family, 2 young boys, 3 and 7, staying active, staying healthy. Actually, just before this, it was nice. I got out on the Bruce Trail to just in Hamilton to do a little bit of biking.
Nice.
Clear my head. So that was good. Keeping healthy.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But no golf. You live on a golf course.
I live right in front of a golf course, yeah.
You're like you could have been Tiger Woods.
Probably not.
Maybe your kids.
Yeah. Tiger Woods is half Asian, isn't he?
His mother's Thai.
Thai,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because I think. Did you watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan?
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Right, in how Phil Jackson teaches like meditation and stuff, and that was a big part. I was a part of Tiger Woods' upbringing as well. Was meditation, and just seeing a lot of winners who meditate and have strong mental mindsets for it.
Yeah, it was me. I mean, he's so well known for his mental concentration, right? Like, I mean, incredible.
Yeah, he was -1 yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, people are. I think there's big hype him going into the tournament, right?
Yeah, could be your kids, man. You never have to work another day. You just make Tiger Woods money. Your kids. So we have a lot to talk about today. Because that's what's fun about this podcast is like I get introduced to all these crazy ideas like morality and real estate investing. We'll get there. And oh boy, we're going to get some people complaining about what we're talking about today.
That's okay. Controversy is good.
So you mentioned businesses. How many businesses you got? What do they do?
Mostly construction and development. NGC Constructors, 3H Properties Group are the main businesses keeping me busy. We have a few other businesses, but COVID hasn't helped that in the last few years. So they'll resurrect at some point.
Right.
Some online rental sharing programs and stuff like that. Some pretty cool stuff. But
I thought I was busy.
You're busy.
I took 4 days to respond to your email. I don't know how you manage all the businesses you got. So you mentioned construction. Is that kind of how you got started into real estate?
Yeah, exactly. I started my first business out of college, right, and grew up pretty aggressively over the last, I'd say, dating myself now, close to 20 years, and opened up offices in Washington State and Texas. We have our head office in Vancouver, offices here in Toronto, but mostly focused on commercial multifamily construction. And boom, 2020, COVID hits and $40 million of our business disappears. And so we had to shift to, make a big pivot. So hence why we're doing,
What were these projects that just went poof?
A lot of our business is in the hospitality industry. Like
mercy.
Exactly.
Because that's coming back real strong.
Yeah, it's unknown when that's coming back, right? And so we were building theaters, commercial, they're called family fun centers, family entertainment centers.
Like a Dave & Buster's? Or?
Yeah, like those kind of places, right? And, obviously COVID hit that. So like a puff of smoke overnight, everything disappeared and still hasn't come back. So, yeah, challenging times.
And you were able to sleep at night?
Well, fortunately, I was, when all this happened, it was when myself and my sisters and my mother went to the Philippines for a 3-week holiday, and that 3-week holiday turned into 5 months of being locked down in the Philippines while all this was happening. So it was a pretty crazy time.
Because they're still having challenges.
Still, yeah, and it was a real eye-opener to see like how COVID was, handled in the Philippines, as you can only imagine with, the current president, right? who built a pretty bad reputation of human rights.
Were you able to eat?
No. We were safe. We were very fortunate. I have real estate in the Philippines, so we stayed at my place there, and lots of room for the kids to run around, and sort of a blessing because pre-pandemic I was just going bananas with business and hadn't spent so much time with my kids, and I got to actually slow things down, get a little healthy, and get some rest and spend a lot of time with the kids. But business was just disappearing, like
What did you do? Like you have staff and salaries and
exactly. Yeah, there was a bit of a tough moment actually at one point when prior to government subsidies and help, there was a moment where, hey, we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to be. Well, actually, funny enough, we were at the house, and I was saying to my sisters and brother-in-law and stuff like that, and I was saying, hey, we got to prepare. This is like March. We got to prepare, and potentially this pandemic can extend to May. And so let's like settle in, and try to make do with everything. And oh man, well, we didn't get back till August, right? So life was pretty different than what we have here.
And you weren't even here, and you had to try to deal with this stuff in a different time zone.
Yeah. So, trying to deal with business, checking in with the team. Unfortunately, a lot of layoffs had to take place. You had to really, relook at the business itself and like what business you had and your resources and all those kind of things, and try to make the best decision. My decision was always like how I built an amazing team over with like very low turnover, total commitment, amazing people, family, right? Like I consider those that work with me, my business family, and and to have to let people go, oh, it just killed me. So I tried to figure out ways as creative as I could with the resources that I had to keep people as long as on payroll as long as I could. And, you know, fortunately enough, we kept about 75% of our staff or 80% of our staff for the majority of the pandemic. You know, post subsidies that ended last October, you know, we've had to make a few more changes, obviously, but you know, we've kept we've kept our staff pretty intact, which is amazing.
So it's like the projects that started, did they get finished?
No, they were all terminated. It was
even mid-project, mid-build.
Yeah, mid-build. Yeah.
So you have some like
or they were
steel frame buildings,
or they were tapered down, right? Like they you know, for example, you're going to build a theater, you know, 12 auditorium theater. They're only going to do 5, and we'd built 3 of them already, right? That kind of thing.
Crazy.
So things really just, you know, took a turn for the worst, and I mean, hey, and all those businesses are still struggling today, right? I mean, streaming has decimated the film industry, right? And but we move on, right?
So you mentioned a pivot. I hope there's a happy ending to this story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, exactly. We 3H Properties. I mean, we actually launched 3H Properties in 2017, but because we were so busy with all our other businesses, we didn't actually shift to that until about 2021. So, you know, we're still trying to recover from what took place from the start of the pandemic, and also, interestingly enough, 2017, there wasn't that much focus on affordable housing, and there wasn't that much...
Because it wasn't a problem then.
Yeah, it wasn't... well, no.
I'm joking. I joke a lot.
Yeah. And funding. And it wasn't in the public's eye, right? Like, people weren't really talking about it as much as they are today, right? Mm. And so...
vacancy rates have been low as long as I remember. So I'm surprised no one thought about it. Like I remember when I was doing forecasting for my own real estate investing, like vacancy rates were like never higher than 3%. That's probably a problem.
Yeah, no, and it was. I'm not sure why. Must have been other policy focuses that the government had, but it was really at the beginning of COVID when the significant funding had been, placed in affordable housing. The public's, perception and public's concerns about the housing problem had really been exacerbated, right? With people moving from the urban core, moving to smaller communities, and those people from smaller communities had to move out of those communities and all those kind of things. And so, so for us, the story's positive because we were able to take all our staff, reshift, pivot all their efforts from what we were doing, the commercial construction stuff, mm-hmm. to affordable housing development.
Okay, so how do you convince people to invest in affordable housing? Because as you say affordable, like, oh, there's no money to be made.
Yeah, I mean...
and then investors, that's not what any investor wants to hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, what I always say when we meet with potential investors, and I ask a question, if you can invest in something that does good for the community, but also where you can do good business, why not, right? Why not take a look at it? And so that's what we're trying to prove out. Right. I mean, the majority of affordable housing has been carried on the backs of nonprofits, cooperatives, and government for how many years? Right. And I think the movement for private industry to get more involved is starting to increase. I mean, the U.S., which is a little more developed on the affordable housing side, and our first fireside chat with Jonathan Rose in March, where he's been in affordable housing for the last 30 years. These policies and programs that are in there, and he's able to for the last 15 years provide his investors, a 6% consistent return with a 15% IRR for the last 15 years, doing 100% affordable. So he's proven out our model basically.
So why hasn't it happened here?
Because it's still in its infancy, right? There's
the problem's pretty bad.
We don't really
the problem ain't no infant.
It's a gigantic brontosaurus.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I would choose a meat-eating dinosaur. But okay, continue. Not a vegan dinosaur, but okay.
That's Asian in you, I guess, right?
I just don't fear the brontosaurus. I don't fear the brontosaurus like I would fear a T-Rex.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's what my son would say.
That's how big the problem is.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Hey, I don't know. I can't say why.
But you know how we're getting out of this?
What's that say again?
You know how we're getting out of this affordability issue?
Well, hey, there's movement, let's say, right?
Okay.
I mean, CMHC has this vision and goal to have by 2030 everybody in a home. Right?
Oh boy.
That's a big goal. That's pretty lofty. And I'm on the phone at least every couple of weeks with folks from CMHC. And what's great is that you're hearing a lot of willingness to look at different ways at looking at the housing problem, right? Different ways, investing structures, different innovative approaches. Partnerships are key, those kind of things. So that's uplifting to see such a substantial organization have that interest. So yeah, I mean, I can't answer the question of is what we're proposing the solution,
right.
But I think it's a combination of all the things that are happening, whether it be mixed use, developments where there's a portion of affordable, where there's 100% affordable, like our model, it's nonprofit.
Right.
There's all those approaches I think are key.
Okay. Well, let's focus on one of your current projects.
Sure.
Like the King Street one. That's like I honestly live.
Main Street.
Sorry, Main Street.
Yeah.
I honestly lived like 100 meters from that location.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I honestly just lived up the street from there.
Oh, on Locke?
Yeah, just off Locke.
Just off Locke.
I was on George
Brilliant.
Street. Yeah, I was
awesome.
on George Street.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I think I sold that house for like 600 something, and I saw one of my neighbors just listed for 1.4.
Oh my God.
I wish I kept that one. I wish I kept that one. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like this is
Crazy.
nuts.
Yeah,
this is
crazy.
nuts. So can we use that one as your Main Street property as an example?
Yeah,
like,
for
what
sure.
are you doing? So tell the listener what it is you're doing at can you share the address?
Yeah, it's 405 Main Street West, Hamilton. Yeah, so what we're doing there, it's a project, 96 unit building, 7 stories. Our model is 100% affordable. But the key to our model is we partner with nonprofits to be able to get access to grants, loans, forgivable loans, exemptions, development cost charge exemptions, property tax abatement, and a whole gamut of things that help our model make it profitable and commensurate in terms of investment with other real estate investment opportunities. And so for that project, one of the biggest keys to our model is finding properties that are within a transit corridor that are already zoned for our purpose. So if we can find properties that are that allow for 6-7 stories, 150 unit buildings that are about half an acre to an acre in size. Brilliant. So we're starting out in Hamilton with this 405 project. We've got 3 others in development, and our goal by the end of the year is to have 10 projects in the pipeline, roughly about 1,500 units.
And then, so how do your investors? They're open to these opportunities? I'm guessing they are.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our investors are investors who are looking to make an impact.
Right.
They have been involved in real estate, or they're high net worth individuals, or they're just folks that are really keen on taking their money and making a change in our future. And so one of the biggest problems that we face today, of course, is affordable housing.
And then you mentioned earlier what the other gentleman's doing for his investors for returns. I know you can't tell people what the prospective returns are, but what idea do you give them?
Yeah, so for our model, because we try to maximize all the grants and loan and forgivable loans, exemptions, etc. Our model is one where we can provide a return of capital or pre-stabilization. Post-stabilization, we're looking at providing a 6.5% to 7% return, and then the exit strategy is a refi or a sale of the building. And so, since our model is one where the refi strategy is key for us as our main strategic position, we're going to provide a return that is in perpetuity. So once we provide capital, 100% of the capital back upon refi, we're going to still provide that return in perpetuity.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically an infinite return. So and I've heard it's called the holy grail of investing, right?
Yeah, to make a return with no investment.
Yeah,
because you're returning their capital.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do are you refinancing like everybody else is doing? Like you're going to like national you're going to a commercial lender?
Yeah, well, what's unique is that CMHC also has its own direct lending programs, but it also has a commercial mortgage side, right? And their commercial side, they provide insurance to commercial lenders that will provide terms that are almost equivalent to their direct lending programs. And so, long-term amortization, 50-year terms, lower rates than the market, and combine that with grants and loans, and the numbers make sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And all these people hate Justin Trudeau. This wouldn't be possible without him.
Yeah. I mean, but I think you look at what's needed and affordable, and government assistance is absolutely what's necessary. That's the only way the model works.
Yeah, because private people won't do this. Like a regular bank won't lend you on because housing's affordable. Your rents are 10-20% below market value.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So where our model is a combination of what's called deep affordable and market affordable. And so deep affordable tenants pay around 50%, but their rents are subsidized, and the market affordables pay up to about 15-20% of market, right?
Wow. Can you give an example? Like, do you know what your projections are for, like, what are you building? What are you building at 405 Main Street?
So this will be a purpose-built rental building, 96 units, 7 stories. It'll have all the amenities that are, it'll not,
pool, gym, golf simulator,
flotation. No.
I've never heard of that in a condo.
No. But no, it'll have a gym. It'll have a community gardens. It'll have
parking,
and we'll actually in fact have a larger laundry space to kind of treat that as a community space as well, and we have a commons area where it could be treated as a business center for various programs, or just a place for people to gather. So we're trying to really create a community in our buildings, because not only do we want to treat our tenants with dignity and respect, we also want to create a place where they can call home. Because a lot of the affordable housing developments that have been built in the past have this sort of I don't know the best way to describe it, but not very appealing aesthetic, right? And more of like a Soviet potentially facility, right? But so now with what we're trying to do is we're trying to create design excellence. We're trying to create trying to implement ways to make the building look unique, and of course within a budget, because it's an affordable housing project where we don't have the budget that market projects have. So we try to be creative with the resources and the budgets that we have.
Okay. And are you looking for cost savings too via green technologies? I remember Praveen mentioned, and I don't think I've heard of it before, used in Canada. You mentioned shower water recapture.
Yeah.
Just to even recapture the heat as well.
Yeah, there's many technologies, and that's what's also really unique about affordable housing projects. I think they're leading edge on that, from that respect. Like for 405, we have we're trying to aim for net zero electrical use, and that kind of thing reduces the long-term operational costs of the building, which then helps us
keep it affordable.
Make it affordable. Absolutely, exactly. And and things like solar panels, things like heat pump systems, heat recovery.
You're gonna put a heat pump in that thing?
Heat pump for the various units, right? Heat recovery systems from sewage and sanitary, right? And or envelope. All there's so many different different approaches to ensuring the building is energy efficient.
Are you other than electricity, are you going to try to keep people accountable at all to their water usage, for example? Because that's one thing I don't like about condos is people kind of like, because they can't really tie the expense back to themselves. I find that people who live in condos, I find them more wasteful, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually looking to partner with TELUS Smart Buildings, and they have digital meters that help, not only digital meters, but from a single mobile device you can open and close doors for viewings. You have as you said, water water analysis, water use analysis. You have energy use analysis, and all these type of things, which I think are important, because you're right, there is the potential for that.
So, or even just like by mistake, someone has a leaky toilet.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
I don't think everyone appreciates, but if your toilet, if you can hear it running, that could be a couple $1,000s a month.
Absolutely.
And just wasted water.
Yeah. So you have somebody helping monitor that, right? And you have various options of and levels of digital monitoring, but you want to cover the basics like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, at what stages do you accept investor money? Just at the beginning? Can people buy these units?
So just so our model.
I know nothing about this business model.
Great questions. No, so our model is all rental. We're focused primarily on rental. There is affordable ownership as well. That's not what we focus on. We'll focus on affordable rental. And so in terms of investments, we're actually launching a new project just actually in the next week or so. It's on Barton Street. I'm sure you're familiar with Barton.
Yeah.
And
Barton and what's the intersection?
That's at Barton in Ottawa. So this project is...
yeah, we talked about that. That's a wonderful location.
Yeah.
Like big time for up and coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right beside Center Mall. Barton
Which is
Street.
A nice mall.
It's exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of traffic on Barton Street, foot traffic as well. And that's a 7-story building, 164 units. Amazing design on that building. We had a little more flexibility, and I think don't quote me, but we may be winning some awards, I think, with the uniqueness of our design. Shout out to Revel House, our architectural team. Amazing design. But that building is being launched to investors. We did a teaser just a week ago. And next week we're going officially to our investment group and making the opportunity available. So $4.5 million we're raising, and to do a 160 unit building.
So the raise, okay, actually I have a lot of questions to ask. And then your involvement is you're also the general contractor?
Well, our firm is construction management. We're primarily a management company, but act in a similar capacity as general contractor. Yeah. So we have full control. That's one.
You're big time, because not everyone's allowed to do this.
Yeah, one of the things that gives us that
Like, I'm not allowed to do this.
From your...
I wouldn't be allowed to GC this. No lender's going to let me be the GC on this.
Yeah. I mean, but we've been in the business for 20 years.
Got
right?
it.
So, we're building 2 condos in BC right now. So, I mean, it's something that gives us control over the whole process. So right from the get-go, some of the problems that developers face is that they get a building that their architect designs incredibly and it's beautiful, but then they are challenged with the budget because the architect's not focused on that. But because we're involved right from the get-go, we immediately look at our design and how it impacts our budget and make those numbers work.
Yeah. It reminds me of those condos in Hong Kong where there's like a hole in the middle of the condo. Like, people could have lived there, man. That's not practical. It looks cool. Yeah. You can throw something big through it, but wow, $4.5 million raise. So how are you raising the capital?
So where you go to our existing existing investment group, and basically we have a structure, a GP LP structure. Raising the LP funds, and we make it available to them for the for the next couple of weeks.
All right.
And but also what we do with our projects is
sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah.
The your existing investment group, these are high net worth, like really, really high net worth.
High net worth. In some cases, institutions, pension funds.
Okay. Institutions have appetite for this?
Family offices, yeah, in some cases. Institutions have now, a lot of these, I think we talked about it, you mentioned the ESG, right? And so a lot of corporations have created funds or have allocated funds to doing impact. And a lot of them are interested in affordable housing because that's an area that they're focused on. Right?
Got it. And this fits their return profile as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of these organizations aren't looking for huge returns, right? And mind you, a lot of them invest in...
I know they're not looking for huge returns, but they're usually looking for low risk as well.
Yeah, they're looking for low risk. They're looking for stable income. Yeah. They're looking for decent returns. But most of our conversations are about impact. If they had a choice about, if they had one investment that provided decent returns and they had another investment that provided decent returns and also had an impact, they're going to choose the latter, right?
Interesting.
So, and those are the investors and joint venture partners that we look for. They have the same vision, they have the same values, and there's a lot of them out there.
Right. Because these investors aren't going to go, hey, Alfredo, you can get 20% more rent if you renovate this person?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. All right. Adam, wait, let's wrap it up. I'm kidding.
I know you are.
So I remember reading the article, and that's when I reached out to you, because you have involvement with Addie.
Yeah.
Because we've had Stephen from Addie on the show.
Yeah.
Super cool concept. And then where does Addie get involved in this process?
So good question, and shout out to Addie, Stephen, and Mitch. So Addie, they're the same thing. So as soon as we make the offering to our investment group, they're part of that group. They'll commit a certain level of investment per deal, and we love bringing them in because what they do is they make investment available to everyone. Right. And right now, our investment community are mostly accredited investors, right?
Yeah, very accredited.
Yeah, the majority are all
family offices are not just accredited; they're very accredited.
Yeah, exactly.
They're multiple times the requirements to be accredited. Okay, sorry, continue.
But love the fact that you can get anybody and everybody involved at a low risk because they're not allowed to invest more than a certain level. And they're basing it on the majority, right? And so to have them not only be our partner, but because they're building a great reputation around focusing more on impact, that's the same value alignment. So. Yeah.
I remember I didn't know much about Addie when I had him on the show. Sorry, Stephen. So when he told me the max investment was $1,500,
exactly.
I had to have him repeat it 3 times.
Really? Really?
Oh, because the example I've given before on the show is I don't have RESPs. Because honestly, it's not enough for me to be interested, right? It's not a significant amount of money for me to be interested, and then I'm gonna get some hate for this. Like it's perfect. I completely understand why it exists and who it's for.
Yeah,
it's not for me because I got way too much stupid stuff going on, and I got to learn TikTok apparently.
Yeah.
Right, and that's somehow a priority over an educational savings plan.
Yeah,
but it's not about me. When it's even until like 15, because with investors, they're often I've seen it taught and understand why they're often taught have one partner in a real estate venture.
Okay.
Because it's too hard to manage lots of relationships.
Yeah.
Versus Addie's gone the exact opposite direction. Yeah. They have thousands of investors, thousands of relationships on just one project.
Yeah, on 405 Main Street, they raised $500,000. And I think, I can't remember the number of investors that were in there, maybe 2,000 or something like that.
My word.
Risk is spread pretty amazingly, but I've been on, I'm also a member of Addie and
you were able to invest in your own project then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
and so the whole platform is so frictionless. Everything that is provided to an investor who isn't, well versed in real estate, can really understand it and invest.
Well, it's way easier than getting go see property, write an offer, win the damn offer, inspections, insurance, get a mortgage. That's a complicated part. No, it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. You still have to manage it, ensure that the value stays, right?
And that could be over 5 years.
Yeah,
managing
absolutely.
Maintenance, tenant, right?
Absolutely.
5, 10, 20 years.
Or longer, right? Yeah. And anything can happen in that situation,
of course.
Right? And it's challenging.
Crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
I think Addie's super cool. This is not an endorsement by any means because they give me nothing for it. But I think it's super cool. I was at a cryptocurrency presentation, and as always, they can't tell you how much you should own. But the lady suggested buy $1 of Bitcoin.
Okay.
Right? Hopefully she won't get sued for giving financial advice.
Okay.
Buying $1 of Bitcoin.
Okay.
But her point was get off of zero.
Okay.
Don't have zero, because at least if you break the seal, then hopefully that opens a door to a greater journey of learning more. Right? Maybe you want to get into construction. Maybe you want to get into socialized housing. Maybe you want to be a landlord.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that doesn't happen until you break the seal. Right?
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So Addie's a very easy way to break the seal, because my understanding is you can do a minimum of $1. But that doesn't make any sense because the fees.
The fees, yeah. I think the fee is $25 a year for a regular.
Just a year? Not even a month?
Yeah.
So invest more than $25? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool, because Addie's about impact, and that's why I had to ask Stephen 3 times what the maximum investment was, because it's hard for me to get a financial impact as an investor when I'm only investing $1,500 at a time, right? But he meant impact more for socialized investing, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. You leave space for everybody else to be able to get in.
Yeah.
Rather than just a big fish.
Yeah, and exactly that, right? Because primarily real estate has been, mostly invested in by people that are accredited or people that have wealth, and to get the vast majority to get involved, as you say, get your foot in the door, basically, starts opening up your eyes to other things that will help you improve your financial situation.
It reminds me, I have one share of Tesla because it's too expensive, so I just want a piece of Elon and all the action, and mostly to kill my FOMO.
Hopefully, it wasn't bought this year.
It's mostly to kill my FOMO.
Yeah.
I got a piece. I'm in the door.
Yeah.
I got a foot in the door.
Yeah.
We talked earlier before we were recording about co-ops, and it was a presentation that you were giving around. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. But I didn't know this, which is kind of sad that I know this. You were talking about in a presentation how a bunch of affordable properties will no longer be affordable probably pretty soon.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Because if I didn't know, like, there's probably one person out there also who doesn't know.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is that particular example was an article that came out in January about
This year.
This year,
Yeah.
City of Kitchener. City of Kitchener. So there's a cooperative or a bunch of cooperatives that own affordable housing, and I think there was I can't remember the exact numbers. I'll have to look back at my notes, but something around a couple thousand. And so,
A couple thousand apartments.
And these apartments were, built about, 40, 50 years ago on long-term mortgages and to be kept affordable for that term. And so now, of course, buildings only have a life of around 40, 50 years, and, major changes need to take place or improvements. And so not only do they face, their mortgages ending, and, although they have a lot of equitable value in these properties, they don't have significant cash flow. So, what do you do with these properties? And, their only options are, at least at this point in time, is to either sell, and then it gets sold to private industry, and private industry is looking to maximize profits, and what ends up happening is you have displacement. You have all these folks that are
That's a bad
left
thing
out on the street. Yeah,
they'll have stainless steel appliances and like granite countertops and hardwood floors, and that's not a good thing.
No. I mean, it's not good in the sense that you have displacement. Right? You have all these folks, and that's happening across the country, and it's I think one of the biggest problems and opportunities that we have in the future, which is under a category called preservation. And so that was what the chat was all about with Jonathan Rose. But I think there's there's billions and billions of dollars of assets that are all at end of life. You're hearing some sad stories about rent evictions. You're hearing sad stories about people being left out on the street. You're hearing, rat infested, elevators not working, and all those kind of things. And there's no solution for that. So I'm trying my best with my team and our partners to try to lobby government and lobby, various institutions to get involved in trying to find a solution for preservation.
And you're just talking about preserving affordable housing.
Preserving affordable housing, yes.
I don't know many people are talking about this.
No, it's not. That's why there's not many people talking about affordable housing in general, but it's building. Preservation is really, it's more of might be more focused on in the future as we get the supply up of affordable housing, because that's still the challenge. In the U.S., the majority of affordable housing development is preservation. Out of all the projects that they did, and I think it was a year ago, they only built like 50 to 60,000 new units of affordable housing. The rest
in the
was all
States.
preserved.
Sorry,
yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
That's nothing.
Exactly.
For a population of 300 million?
350 million people. Yeah. And they have their numbers are in terms of people, like in Canada, we've got the total waiting list for people waiting for affordable homes is roughly around 300,000 people. In the US, it's like 20 times that. It's like 6 to 10 million people, right? It's a giant number. And so, preserving existing affordable is something that they're focused on.
I see multiple challenges.
Multiple
even for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I allowed to call you guys? Oh, jeez. Another apology. I'm sorry, folks. When you're buying property, there's other people that want the same properties as you. How is that working out? Are sellers sympathetic, or they just want to
actually, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey so far, because not only are sellers empathetic, because we've got a lot of problems in society today, right? That's another probably podcast for, but the sellers we're not only sellers, but our consulting teams, other stakeholders. Everybody is very empathetic to the problems and want to get involved and want to help we had one of our consultants say to me the other day, I said, hey, I know you're busy. Hamilton, construction and development industry is going bananas right now. And so I said to him, I go, hey, heads up, I need your assistance on an environmental study on this project in the next week, because we're closing on it and we're gonna go into due diligence. Just a heads up, and if you could fit it in your schedule, please let me know. He's like, Alfredo, because of what you're doing, because you're developing affordable housing, you're my priority.
Right.
And so that's pretty consistent amongst the various groups. And so so sellers are open to finding out a way that they can also have an impact.
Right.
But our model is one where we're focused on secondary markets. So instead of paying 20-25% of our total cost of a development, like in the urban core, Toronto, Vancouver's, we're looking at markets that these secondary markets that have a little more affordability and a lot of available land for development. Right.
Other than Hamilton, where else are you looking?
St. Catharines. We've looked in places like across the country, from Ontario, Southwest Ontario is one of our main focuses, but all the way to heading west to BC. So we've looked at Regina, we've looked at Winnipeg, we've looked at Edmonton, Calgary, various smaller cities in BC, Victoria, Nanaimo, those kind of places.
But you're starting in Hamilton.
We're starting in Hamilton.
Why Hamilton?
Well, I live in Hamilton.
You didn't always.
No. Yeah.
As much as you both like Hamilton, I understand you've had some nice experiences in other parts of Canada.
Yeah. Originally from Vancouver, moved to Hamilton in 2015.
You upgraded, I understand. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I'm super happy. Amazing family, community. Amazing place. Still strong ties to Vancouver. There every couple of months. Family's there, so. Yeah,
that's pretty wild because maybe it's the grass is greener on the other side, but I just love Vancouver, and we're we're going to Vancouver end of May. We're going to do a real estate meetup, stock hacker meetup. I don't have all the details yet. My wife put it in my calendar for 6:30, so with the time change, that'll be 9:30 our time.
Yeah,
I'm like, hun, the kids can't be up that late and we don't have a nanny in Vancouver. So we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah,
I love Vancouver.
Yeah, beautiful place,
beautiful people, beautiful culture. Like, people are chill.
Yeah,
compared to here.
Well, funny enough, we brought on a new controller just recently, and she's out of Kitchener, and she was getting onboarded with our team. And our head office is in Vancouver, and my chief of people is in Vancouver. And so during this process of onboarding, there was a big noticeable difference between the different from the West Coast and Ontario. So yeah, definitely a lot more relaxed and chill for sure.
How many employees do you have?
30. We used to have closer to 50 pre-pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
And then but then all the people on the tools, they're contracted out?
Oh, we don't have, so construction management, we only have the management team, project managers, project coordinators, development managers, site superintendents. The rest of the stakeholders are all are contracted. Yeah.
Parts of the construction industry have bounced back, have they not? Like, I still see cranes everywhere, and I understand just from hearing what I hear on the ground, like, they can't hire enough people.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a problem with skilled trades in construction. The pandemic made it even worse because a lot of folks, in the construction industry, the average age is over. I think the average age was over 45, 50. At some point. Maybe it's changing. These are old metrics, but with the pandemic, with a lot of people experiencing such despair, particularly in the commercial side of the construction industry, a lot of businesses went bankrupt. Or, guys are saying, "Hey, I just I've been in this business for the last 20, 30 years. It's time to get out, right? And that happened. There's, a lot of attrition. And so, a lot of folks, and that's been one of the problems also that has impacted the cost of construction. But I lost your question.
I don't know what it was. I'm lost in this next question. We talked about morality in real estate investing. Yeah. That was in one of your emails, in our email exchanges. Well, what do we need morality for? So I'll take a. I've mentioned to you and Praveen. It's. I think you've seen it too. Like the common apartment building investment model is to buy something. Like I know many companies, like their strategy is to buy something that needs not a lot of work, that's being rented for under market value, and their goal is to turn over tenants, raise value, renovate, raise values. That's not a moral investment. I don't mean to put. So I'll start off by saying, when people tell me those things, then I'm not interested. So I'll throw that out first. Versus I have friends who are trying to build something in Waterloo. I'm like, I'm interested. You're building, you're creating supply. I'm interested, right? Versus, again, buying something existing, and then however they're asking tenants to leave or letting whatever, I just don't know where do they go. Like someone who's paying like $1,000 for a 2-bedroom, like where do they go, right? And that's why that's for me, that's my morality issue with apartment building investing for that style of investing. So that's why it's a no for me, right? I'm not judging anyone. It's just me, right? What's your view?
Well, a bit of background. I mean, immigrant family from the Philippines. Parents' careers had changed dramatically when we first moved to Canada in the late 70s or early 80s, and pizza delivery driver with single income, right?
Your parents?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, we grew up in affordable housing. And so my career has been about, giving back, because I saw and firsthand experience, being in a situation where paying rent was still a challenge, but isn't the challenge that people face today. My parents were able to have their kids go to good schools and then eventually go to good colleges and universities and do something for themselves and give back to the community. So that's where it starts. That's the base of my morality, and that's what backs a lot of my decision making. Giving back to being fortunate to grow up in Canada, and giving back to the community, super important. But that's with the problem of affordable housing. Not only are we trying to do good and give back, but trying to find a way to make it a sustainable, profitable business model so that we can encourage the rest of the private industry to get involved. Hey, I want to go to sleep at night and sleep well, and know that what I do every day is having an impact. Again, we just have so many problems in society today. Why not do it? If it's not going to be me or not going to be, someone else, like who is it? Who's it going to be? And then, you've got young kids, I've got young kids. I want to see their futures be different than what it, right now looking pretty bleak from an environmental perspective, a real estate perspective, right? I mean, we got to make changes. We got to do something about it.
That's pretty cool. Are your investors public about how they're investing? I only mention it because there's a lot of rhetoric about hate for rich people, and that's who's backing your projects.
Financialization of real estate.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem. I'll admit it too. But then my defense is, what else is someone supposed to do? Like this is, the saying, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
The game is central bank money printing, inflation.
Yeah.
We as investors, we get a lot of tax breaks for being investors. Yeah.
And really, if you're not investing your money and contributing to the economy is not going to churn, and it's not going to turn over, and opportunities and jobs aren't created. So things have to move, and what we're trying to do is to create a model that's sustainable, because just like the Kitchener problem that's being faced, we don't want that to happen, 40 years from now. We're trying to create a model that, beyond that folks that had been fortunate enough to be, living in the affordable projects that we develop don't have to be kicked out at the end of the term, right?
What are some of the challenges that city-run affordable housing, what do they face?
Well, I mean, being government backed, a lot of those, the income model, a lot of these buildings have been affordable for so long, so the level of income is so low that they don't have much room to make changes, to make improvements.
Yes. So they don't even keep up with inflation on their rents.
No.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I mean, so that's one thing that we do. I mean, our rents are, there's government, rent control that is in place, and we stay within those guidelines.
So then your buildings will, I don't know if that's right to call them your buildings, but the rents will be indexed to inflation at least.
I mean, as I said, like it'll be to the government
Got it.
Controlled
which hopefully keeps up with inflation.
Which hopefully keeps up with inflation, absolutely.
Because otherwise these businesses, I don't know if that's the right word for it, affordable housing won't make it.
No, it won't. You have to be practical, right? I mean, and government money is finite, right?
I don't feel that way. My tenants are getting new pharma plans and childcare and dental plans. I'm happy for them.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's today, right? But I would say that my perspective is that it's finite, and so if we can find a way to make it sustainable, then that would be amazing.
Any thought to making your buildings co-op?
No. I mean, our buildings are going to be, one of the things about real estate as well, and why I'm involved in construction and real estate. It's a great legacy, asset to have, right? And I think the goal for all of us is to work hard and one day not have to work hard. And so I'm part of our model is keeping it private. And
interesting.
So, and by having, over my career, developed thousands and thousands of buildings, be able to build wealth for myself and my family and for the next generation.
That's pretty
and
cool.
while giving back to the community.
That's pretty cool. Because we talked about earlier about the examples that I shared before we were recording is like two well-known co-ops failed during the pandemic. Mountain Equipment Co-op, which is no longer called that. Mountain Equipment Company?
I don't know. Actually, I didn't follow that. Yeah. What happened with them?
The C stands for something else besides co-op now. So the
really?
acronym stays. So
really? Okay,
yeah, the acronym stays. It's just that it's no longer co-op because it's not a co-op. It's privately owned.
So it's still MEC.
Yeah, it's still MEC. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And then locally, Mustard Seed Co-op failed. And just reading into MEC, like management wasn't tight. Just their inventory control was just poor. The story that was given was, I think a certain piece of hiking equipment, they've happened to find it in their storage, but it had been sitting there for like 3 or 7 years. So it actually worked out. Normally you sell, when you have excess supply, you heavily discount it, put it on clearance.
Yeah.
But thankfully they found it and they were able to sell it for, full list price because, during the pandemic. But that was more of an insight into how poor their inventory management was.
How long did you say? 5-7 years?
Yeah, it was in inventory for that long. And it was lost in inventory.
Lost in inventory.
Right?
Wow.
They found it, I don't know, because they were looking for stuff to sell.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I have questions and I wonder like how is the quality of management in a co-op? Because you don't get talented people running businesses unless you pay them.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So like the whole Sunshine List thing, and then like I don't know if people are being vilified for making what they do, like CEOs of hospitals, for example. But my thinking is you don't get talent unless you pay for talent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of where was I going with that? I don't know. Like do co-ops in real estate work? Do they? Different things. And that's kind of what we're talking about with city-run affordable housing.
Yeah.
Like in Hamilton, for example, like a bunch of these properties are uninhabitable.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like I think one project, I think 60 or 70% of it was vacant because people couldn't live it. They weren't being upkept.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know, the history of like city housing in Hamilton is that actually it was, what I understand it to be, is that they were an amalgamation of a significant number of nonprofits that I think were actually going bankrupt, and so city housing stepped in and took them over. And so you know they already started with problems, right, financially,
Right.
and so but there was a lot of folks
Right.
that were living there, and
Right.
so you know what are you going to do? You something had to be done, and so they stepped in and came up with that solution. But you know, is that the solution for the long term? You know, that's yet to be determined.
Because I remember within 2 years, I won't say which political party, I'm sure people can guess, but one of the leaders said, I don't want to see developers making money off the back of Canadians, right? And then here we have nonprofits, I don't know, leaving a whole bunch of problems for the taxpayer. So how'd that work out?
Well, not well, because there were billions and billions of dollars spent originally. So if all that gets converted to private, then you know, look at the lost dollars there, right? And so you know, I think that you know, back to that comment about preservation being a potential, you know, or not potential, being one of the biggest issues and opportunities, I think need to be resolved in Canada.
Are you working with the city on any existing affordable housing that they own, that they're operating?
We're having talks about opportunities to partner up. I don't think we're talking about existing properties, only because the financial model today with grants and incentives and loans, et cetera, that are there won't support a preservation model, but they do support new construction, new builds.
No, I mean they should bulldoze some of these places and build high-rise.
Yeah, some places absolutely it makes sense financially to do that, and it'll contribute back. You know, if you're demolishing a 10-unit building and put it up, you can put up 300 units. Yeah, no, that will have a unilateral positive effect, but what do you still do with those 10 families that are living there? You still have to be, you know, fair and find a solution for that.
It's more likely 3 families because 3 of the 7 of the units aren't in, and you can't live in them.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have to relocate them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not easy to do.
No.
Anything else you want to cover today?
Hey, I mean, I got a few shout outs at the end.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much time we have left, but
I need to shout out people.
No.
Were you shouting at the city at all? Anyone at the city we should shout out?
No. Not at this. I don't think I'm promoting folks in the city, but building relationships with the folks at the city. I think you know, no specific names particularly, but
I'll have to say, like the people the people that I've dealt with at Hamilton, they're very progressive people.
Yeah,
you wouldn't know they're public servants by talking to them.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they have vision. They're not NIMBY, right? They want change. They want density.
Yeah.
Right, which is not typical of city municipal employees.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, hey, but you know, just that's an interesting comment because you know, that's one of the reasons why we moved to Hamilton, and over having grown up in Vancouver and seeing the changes over, you know, the last 30 years in Vancouver, seeing, you know, Richmond which is where I grew up in, you know, from farmland to giant towers, and you see, you know, Vancouver and
in a very high income area.
Yeah, absolutely. And see what the impact of the what was called the SkyTrain, you know, the rapid transit, the RAV line, and all these other lines that had a huge impact to the city and its growth, and that's what's exciting about Hamilton with the LRT coming. and all the
Light rail
other
transit, yeah.
yeah, the light rail transit and all the other investments taking place in Ontario and connecting the whole grid together. I think that's amazing, and I mean it has to be done because the population is going to continue to grow. There's the government's bringing in 1.5 million people over the next 3 years, and that's a substantial increase to the population. But Vancouver, seeing how it grew and the developed society and the regulations and all that stuff that is now in place is what happens over time as things become more sort of set up, right? And now Hamilton, we're in this growth stage and other areas in Ontario, and it's really exciting to see that and to have these folks at the city be open and be willing and look at innovative techniques, look at partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
In all my experiences, all my conversations have been all positive.
Mm-hmm.
And even from the administrative staff, they're very supportive. They're always attentive to your files, and I think it's been great. Yeah.
And you've been talking to the mayor as well, because he's got to be wanting to pose in front of your buildings and stuff.
We've had conversations with Fred and other councillors. They're very supportive, so we're getting a lot of support. Whenever I ask how many private industry developers are getting involved in affordable housing, there's not, you can't count more than the fingers that are on one hand that are involved in doing affordable housing. So
I'm not sure everyone knows how. Like, you have the benefit of a construction business. I don't know. Maybe come back on another episode on how someone else can start.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can someone with like 3 properties start getting into affordable housing?
Yeah,
we'll chat about that when we're done recording, because I gotta let you go.
Yeah, but I would love to just share that we're launching our Barton Street project. I mentioned that just in the next couple of weeks. So if anybody's interested,
what's the date? Because I don't know when the people are gonna hear this.
We're launching that probably around middle of April.
Middle of April.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And a couple shout outs. I'd love to shout out to our official charity, Foundations for Social Change. I think Praveen might have mentioned that when we first chatted.
He talks fast, dude.
Foundations for Social Change, they're basically a direct giving model. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, but what they did is they did a trial in Vancouver where they gave 50 people $7,500, no strings attached. And the majority of those folks are stable financially. And so, with you think that the opposite would actually take place. And so what, these folks will have the money to buy their clothes for getting a job. They can now afford some food, and they can now afford rent. And so they're no longer struggling on a day-to-day basis and are able to improve their lives and get back into the game of life, get back into society. So they're making some pretty cool headway, and they've got this new program, their Green Leaf program, where they're going to be raising $3.8 million. They have a control group around 400, and they're going to be giving about 200 of those folks $8,500 each, and seeing what the impact is. Getting tons of support media-wise, getting a lot of various institutions interested internationally in what they're doing.
How do you track what they do?
That I don't know.
So it's fascinating.
Very fascinating.
Because I have a charity too, and logistically running a charity is not easy. Handing over money is very easy. Understanding the results is not so easy.
Exactly. They're very sophisticated in their analysis and their studies, but they are very simple in the folks that they're giving the money to. But
they must give them like a prepaid credit card that they're tracking or something.
I'm not sure. I think there's no strings attached.
I don't know, just to track.
Oh yeah.
Just like, I don't know, like you're not handing them a stack of cash.
No,
you hand them a piece of plastic.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Or this is China. We're talking about digital currency. Right. Okay. Sorry.
But Yeah, so they're our official charity. I shouted out to Addie Invest, as I mentioned. We'll be bringing them into our Barton Street project as well. And as well, we're doing our next fireside chat this June. This time it'll be with Iman Novin of Novin Development, a developer out of California. Amazing story, similar situation. Talking about preservation again and what they're doing in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we could bring in some of our... I've been trying to get some of our CMHC partners to get involved. If that's possible, that would be amazing, just to get the perspective of what's taking place in Canada and how it compares to what's happening in the US, and if there's any learnings that we can take from that.
Don't you have a third project coming up too in Hamilton? Isn't there another project as well in Hamilton?
For us? Yeah, we have 3 projects that we're working on. Barton Street, and then we got this Queenston Road project that's taking place. We're looking at launching another project in St. Catharines. And like I said, we're trying to put 10 projects in the pipeline by the end of the year.
And then Queenston Road, a couple hundred units as well. Similar idea.
Exactly. Our model doesn't change. Like, that's what we're being disciplined about, is that it's, 100, 150 units, already zoned, 6 to 7 stories. Mm-hmm. Grants and loans are all similar and expected. Mm-hmm. So the returns are all the same. And so we're trying to create scale, basically. That's one of the biggest challenges that had taken place in affordable housing. Like, pre-pandemic, the city of Hamilton alone had only built 350 new affordable housing units when there's 7,000 people waiting on a waiting list.
I'm surprised it's that small. I thought the list would be a lot bigger and growing.
Exactly. Well, that 7,000 person list continues, or family list continues to grow, right? And so, but that's not only happening in Hamilton, that's happening across the country. And so we've got to do something about it. And we're trying to lead by example.
And then there's some of the ridiculousness in the media about we don't have a housing supply issue. We have all these houses in Saskatoon that are boarded up. People can just go live there. Okay.
There is a housing supply issue for sure. I mean, statistics, I mentioned this during our fireside chat, is that Canada is, on a housing per capita basis, is the lowest amongst the G7. And for Ontario, just to meet the national average, would have to build 650,000 new units. Well, that's why
over what time period?
No, that just not that it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that to get to the national average, and why are we having this housing crisis, and why are prices so high? Yeah. Why are rental rates so high? Yeah. Because of that deficit. Yeah. Right? So, lots and lots and lots of stuff.
We have a provincial election coming up. Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm not too optimistic. Oh man, I had something else to ask. So I'm trying to be an FAQ for you so that you don't get like all these crazy emails, other than the ones that I send you. For someone to be an investor, so you mentioned like there's kind of like 2 rounds of investment. There's the one from your private investor group. What are you looking for there? What does someone have to do to qualify for that?
Accredited investor, $100,000 minimum investment. Obviously it's similar alignment.
Well, they wouldn't be investing otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to be asking like, "What's this return?" Like,
yeah.
I can buy some, I don't know, Dogecoin. I don't know. Never mind.
And then for as I said, we'll be bringing Addie on board as well, so make that available to the groups.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Any final words you want to share?
Well, hey, investing in affordable housing is possible, and it's needed. So if anybody's interested on your show and your listeners, please get in touch. We'd love to meet.
And how can they get in touch?
They can reach out to our by email.
Okay, I'm gonna warn you. Emails are forever.
Okay.
This is on the internet. This is forever.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll check out our website at 3hproperties.com, and we have a email there at info@3hproperties.com, and you can reach out to us that way.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you,
Excellent.
Alfredo.
Thank you very much, Erwin, for letting me share my story.
Yeah. No, this is cool stuff. You're doing more to change the world than I am.
You're doing lots, my friend.
Thank you
You're
for
doing
listening.
amazing.
If you want to learn how to invest in
Thank you.
real estate from scratch, my team teaches beginners how to use the #1 investment strategy in a virtual free training class every month. Go to investortraining.ca/podcast to register for our next class. I publish an episode here every week, so subscribe if you want to keep learning from seasoned investors like myself and my guests. Again, if you're ready to learn the nitty-gritty about real estate investing, register for our next free virtual training class at investortraining.ca/podcast. Again, thanks for listening to the show. Talk to you next week.